When people deny caste, they are not only denying the lives of people who are fighting against caste, but they are also denying their own struggle with the caste. Because every day you are suffering, this way or that way. Caste exists among all the varnas. Brahmins have close to 550 subcastes among them, and then again sub-subcastes. Same happens with the Kshatriya and the Vaishya varna. And Shudras, of course, we know there are so many what they call the backward classes. But there are so many castes, close to 3,000 or something castes were identified amongst them. And then scheduled castes and then scheduled tribes also have various tribes and also castes among them. That means caste is not unique to one group only. Caste is there everywhere. And when we are marrying our children, we are actually trying to find a partner from our subcaste. We are not finding from our caste. The Gotra, the whole experience is to find who belongs to my subcaste. That's the kind of relation we are trying to establish. That means we are trying to create a genetically sick society. Because if you continue to reproduce among the same genes, the genes are going to have problems in future. You need to diversify. You need to have mix. And geneticists can say more about it. But what we essentially did was we used experiences of social differences. We got experience from those experience of the past of how to socially discriminate and legitimized our actions by using religion as a citation. By saying, and religion used it. We use religion even to continue. Even today, Dalits are continuing to be barred from entering temples, the place of worship. And these are the people who donate money, whatever money they make in their farms, working as a landless laborers or doing any odd jobs. They have immense faith. They go and they donate, but they are not allowed to come, and they are only allowed to come on certain days. This is the kind of hypocrisy we have developed in our society. So the struggle against caste has to be led by everyone. We need to identify ourselves as victims as well as the perpetrators of caste oppression. We play both parts, and the earlier we realize, the better for us. Because in the caste schema, you could be upper caste, but you are lower to somebody. You can be OBC. And OBC, what they did was, especially the Congress policy, they were afraid of independent Dalit movements. Independent Dalit movements were led across. There was Adi Dravida movement, there was Adi Andhra movement, there was in Punjab, Babura Bhogowalia movement was there, Narayana Guru's influence was there in South, and of course in Karnataka and upwards. And Dalits had a character to rebel, to fight back. So the Congress, what they did was to control the potential, because who will react against oppression? The person who is oppressed. And the people who are oppressed have no other option but to fight back. And not only fight back, just to fight back, but to make sure your fight back gets the other person to defeat the person, because you don't want this thing to happen again and again. It's not like a snake is coming every time into your house. You will make sure that you kill the snake because you have your family. You don't want the snake to come next day again and become a problem. What they did was they politicized the OBCs across India by giving, because they had resources, OBCs were given lands, and then the policies made that OBCs controlled lands. They ensured, because the feudal economy survives on the land. Therefore, the OBCs classes among India, even here there are Gaudas, we have our Maharashtra Patils and Deshmukhs. In Tamil Nadu, we have the Gaundas, and So what they did was they led the struggle between the Shudras and Ati-Shudras. They did not let it go above, But the people who are fighting are also smart. They did not protest against Shudras. They made it an anti-Brahminic struggle by making a Bahujan identity. Bahujan identity, of course, after Ambedkar, it was led by Kanshiram, who formed PAMSEC and other organizations. So, when this struggle is happening, we need to identify where and how I can fit myself into this. Because we have not done a cost-effective analysis of how much casteism cost us personally. it is economically challenging to exercise caste because you're not hiring many people, and if you're not hiring, you're not creating more jobs, and if there are not jobs, the economy is stagnant. You need to grow. You need to contribute to the gross domestic product of your country because your country develops not only through production but also taxes. You need more taxpayers who can contribute to it. And so, by not getting Dalits or other lower caste quote unquote people, the struggle has been to retain monopoly. And when you monopolize, you don't care about others. All you care about you. Monopoly is this form of business. And when we are doing this monopoly, the people who have been traditionally wealthy, traditionally well off, traditionally well taken care of, they continue to retain that power structure. They continue to enjoy that hegemony. Whereas the people on the receiving end, they have no other avenues. So the erstwhile farmers or the people who are working on farms, today they are, when they come to urban areas, they become beggars, or they do odd jobs as the security guards. They try to become your maids and all kinds of those things. The condition of the subalterns has not changed, but the people who were part and parcel of British regime, who was helping the British? When the British came, the Brahmin class, the Brahmin group who were already exercising their dominance, how many invasions might have happened, Brahmins have never lost their autonomy and their hegemony in this country. They always made a deal with whichever kingdom they come, and there are times they fought against the natives. For example, in Shivaji Maharaj, because that's a Maharashtra story, he was attacked and he had a very big scar here, and the attack was done by a Brahmin who was part of the Aurangzeb's army, and so then that kind of co-option continues to happen. One question remains: so many kingdoms came, so many invasions happened. Why did caste retain as it is? Untouchables remain untouchables, Brahmin remains Brahmin, and other castes remain Brahmin. The structure remained. Of course, there could be a little bit fluidity here and there, but the structure was intact because the people who were ruling made sure that the new rulers accepted their terms and conditions, and we can see that recorded in colonial archives, where the English recorded many of these conversations, where the British were very happy, the Brahmins were very happy, as long as they were given the permission to retain their control. And the British were happy because they did not come here to love you. They came here to extract the kind of labor that you have, the resources that you produce. And they were not, so they were happy, and any invader doesn't care about the welfare of its subject as long as you are slaves for them. And so the slavery of a caste was co-opted in the capitalist mode of production, and the modern economy co-opted this modern slaves into industries and various forms. Today, as we see, we need to look at the figures of what caste representation is statistically cogent to our project. How many percentage are Brahmins in this country? Now we know the percentage of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, right? We know the percentage of OBCs. The rest of them we don't know. We don't know the percentage of the rest of the population. We know also Muslims, 14%, OBCs approximately, people say whatever percentage it is, but they say 44-ish percentage and so forth. Scheduled caste, we know 60-70%, and scheduled tribe 8-9%. The question remains: why don't we know the census of other castes or other varnas? That's a curious question. People know about Dalits a lot, the Adivasis a lot. We don't know much about them because they don't want to expose their realities. The census that was done in 1931. After that, even now, there was a pressure to say, please tell us the census. Please tell us what is the percentage of what caste groups, so that we can understand. We can then relate to the representation into a modern democracy. How many people are, how many caste groups are represented. The current government, which was the previous also, instead of producing that, what they did was to produce a separate census for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, socio-economic caste census. They say, okay, we give census, but only for this group. The rest they did not give. So the loose understanding is Brahmin are close to 3 to 4%. But their control in various resources, be it media, and I'll give you the figures, yesterday I gave also, be it media, be it bureaucracy, be it in your legislature, in a top post, and of course in the judiciary, the Brahmins are overrepresented than what their share of the population is. Same happens with other groups who are minority, but they continue to have overrepresentation in this. Now this is a failed example of democracy. In media, for example, which we all, I don't know about vernacular, there was recently a survey done. In the Hindi languages, for example, the anchors of 47, I think 47 news channels are all dominant caste people. There is no SC, there is no ST, there is no OBC there. No dominant caste people. And then in English media also it's 90%. And then of course the figures go down. Recently the bureaucracy statistics was out, the secretary level. 89 of secretaries, I think there's only one Adivasi. I don't know if there was any Dalit at all, and there were I think 2 OBCs. That was this one figure. But the figure could be one Adivasi, one Dalit, but it's not more than 3. I'm just mixing the number if I'm not correct in the first statistics. Then when you talk about the cabinet ministers, one should look at how many cabinet ministers does Modi have and what is their caste, caste makeup, what caste do they belong, and you will see no representation of Brahmins in the whole cabinet. And then of course judiciary, the judiciary is a clear example. They use their own selection criteria to exclude there is only one Dalit judge right now sitting in Supreme Court. So what happens is, caste is this. Caste is over-representation and under-representation of a group in a country we call democratic India. So when we deal with question of caste, we also have to talk about material resources. We also have to talk about access to resources. And we also have to talk about ownership of resources. These are the levelings that we need to define. Therefore, in 21st century, it should be a responsibility that the country belongs to everyone. Right now, it doesn't belong to everyone. Council for Social Development did a research, and Council for Social Development, I think Oxfam did this research, and they found that top 1% of India's population, the top one, own 59% of India's wealth, and top 10 own 80% of that. So, if you make a statistics of it, the 90% rest of the population, whichever caste you belong, have to fight over 20% of the nation's resources. And this is going to obviously create a problem. People are going to fight for it. People are going to refuse and revolt about it. And the main gist of failed state policy will be lost because the state will provide a new reason for you to hate other person. They will create a new monster, be it Pakistan, be it Muslims, be it Dalits, be it beef, be it whatever reasons they may. They will use these emotions to misdirect the citizens' attention from the real actual issues, and this is what continues to happen because we are so casteist in our mind that we even overlook the facts that affect us so intimately. So whatever we do, we will still say XYZ leader is because he or she belongs to my caste. I don't want to find any other. And when we do that, we are also trying to demonize other leaders who are trying to present a counter narrative. For example, the OBC politics of Bihar, the Yadavs, they continue to provide a socialist sort of, or at least a non-Brahminic vision, and they are considered the buffoons. And the whole tenure of Lalu Prasad was told that he's an educated guy, he doesn't know how to speak. This kind of crass behavior was directed against him. Why? Because an OBC, independent, educated, elected representative doesn't deserve that kind of respect and that kind of treatment. And we continue to follow on that, jokes. We continue to consider Lalu Yadav as a joke of Indian politics. In fact, he is one of the biggest leaders coming from the OBC politics of India. He was central minister, he was chief minister, his wife was a chief minister, and people, what did they do of Lalu Prasad Yadav? They said he has a cricket team in his house. That's a shameful thing to call anybody's family, whatever children he may have. And that was the major. You all might recall that. If somebody talks about your kids as a cricket team, how would you feel? Now you have kids, for example, and somebody says, "Oh, you are a whatever." But what we did was we removed ourselves from that cricket. We did not took it personal because that person didn't belong to our caste. We thought that person is someone other. Even though this thought might immediately convince you, but this is the background that it is operating. It is numbing our agitational nerves. It is making you pacified. It is controlling you not to agitate. And this agitprop, the propaganda that was circulating around, today, when it comes to the question of corruption, right? Caste has corruption. Caste privilege has produced more corrupted people. You are famous Karnataka guy, one of the most infamous, we call it Chor. Who is he? Vijay Mallya. What is his caste? Say again? Yes. Vijay Mallya is a Brahmin. Takes 7,000 to 8,000 crores of your money, by the way. It's your taxpayers' money that goes to the bank and the government, the bank gave the money. He took your money and went away. We presented Vijay Mallya as this flamboyant, whatever. We did not account him for the kind of caste privileges he had, and he utilized that to loot the country. We can give various references, the Nirav Modi, for example. Right? These are people who have specific caste networks, who use their caste networks to loot the country. It is no accident that people are living in foreign countries who have used your resources. The bank money is your money. And many people don't understand this. People always think it is not my money. It is your money that you are putting in state coffers. Every month, whatever salary you get or whatever thing you buy, the taxes you are paying, that little tax is what the money is. The banks have that money. And that, because you have a distant understanding of those money belonging to you, you don't personalize that. That's why someone taking bank's money, you think, oh, he did not take my money. He has actually taken your money. The notion of corruption and caste is so central that Lalu Prasad Yadav, again coming back to it because he is on for what scandal? Fodder, Chara Ghotala. Now do you know he inherited that scandal. There was a Brahmin, Mishra, who was a chief minister preceding him, had done that. When he went into CM, he inherited that scandal. So, if Lalu Prasad is corrupt, which he could be, the court is again working on it. But why do we not account to the Mishra, who was the chief minister before him? Shekhar Gupta, the journalist, had written on this caste and corruption. He kind of details all of this. He talks about Bangaru Lakshmana, Dalit, and Dilip Singh Judio. They were accepting cash. And I write this in some part of the book where Judio and both are caught on camera. Bangaru Lakshmana is, by the way, the president of BJP. And Dilip Singh Judio is one of the members of the BJP. And both go to court, jail, but the party makes sure that Dilip Singh Judio gets a he is released from the prison and the party fields him as a candidate for the legislative post and he gets elected. Bangaru Lakshmana spends the rest of his life in the prison. Bangaru Lakshmana is a Dalit. So, this attitude that we have normalized in our behaviors, we need to find out how caste privileges are operating. The reason it exists amongst us so strongly, so powerfully, and so unapologetically is because it has managed to invisibilize its aggressive presence. It is there, but we don't know where is this. We need those anti-caste classes to look at how they are operating amongst us, how we are employing our caste privileges to ensure the other person's dignity is withdrawn. And I think these are kind of narratives we need to account to, because it is not the story of Dalits or Adivasis or OBCs only. It is the story of all of us. We are affected by caste at some point. In my chapter, I talk about various issues. I talk about Dalit middle class. I talk about various typologies of Dalits that exists, and as well as because there is one fear, or not fear. There is fear to me because they categorize Dalits as one homogeneous unit. This is what a Dalit is. There is a picture painted in the mind, and that's how they see it. But Brahminism operates in a way that it has produced its multi-layered forms. They have cloned themselves in so many forms that you cannot find one person and say this is the representative of a caste character. And that's why the Brahminic virtues have produced so many categories amongst various castes. Therefore, among Dalits also there are close to 1200 subcastes. To be precise, 1284. The last time I checked. If the census has changed here and there, there could be a few here and there. Caste has made you lesser human being. Because if you oppress other human being, you are not full human being. There is still the monster in you. The person who can beat other person just because they belong to other caste is not fully grown human being. They are still premature people. They are still kids in their life. And who attacks other person? The weakest person attacks the other person.